Lagos is walking. Lagos is evolving. Lagos is transforming. A greater Lagos is emerging and manifesting. On the City of Lagos TV show, we capture the sights and sounds, the thrills and thrills to tell the success story about our great city, Lagos. Welcome to the show. Welcome to news in and around the city of Lagos. On Lagos Update on the City of Lagos TV show on TV Nigeria. Thanks for joining us. We'll be right back with latest news information. Stay tuned. The political storm is now over at the Lagos State House of Assembly after the reinstatement of the impeached Speaker, Mudashiru Obasa, recently by a large percentage of the House members. Mr. Basa, after the whole drama, had an interesting chat with the press as a result of the outcome.
I've told you repeatedly, I've never been removed. There's nothing like impeachments. So I don't know what you are saying. I've said this openly. That everybody, remove, what is it called? Impeachment or whatever, or removing is all democratic and constitutional. But in doing that, to achieve that, you must follow the due process. Nobody is against. I'm not against being removed. If I do that, then I'm not democratic. But all we are saying, let us go through the normal process and achieve that. So if we do, fine. That's just, I'm not against anybody. I don't have anything against anybody. All my colleagues, they've always been my brother. They have always been loyal. They've been dedicated. A strong commitment to serve the people of Lagos. I will continue to do that together.
And that's a wrap on Lagos Update. Up next is from the Governor's Office on the City of Lagos TV show on TV Nigeria. We'll be right back. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu in recent times had a busy but interesting, fulfilling and rewarding official engagements. Let's now bring you a comprehensive news catalog of his recent schedule when it has to do with attending to the business of governance in Lagos State. On from the Governor's Office segment on the City of Lagos TV show. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu at the recent launch of the Malaria Pre-Elimination and Digitization Program was of the view that the launch indeed was a great initiative and effort to change the narrative about taking a bold step to check the dangerous impact and devastating effect of malaria in the society. Mr. Governor described the launch as a revolutionary game changer to improve health care for Lagosians.
It's an honor that I stand before all of you in this room are very strategic to launch the first in the country, another Lagos first, the pathway to malaria pre-elimination and digitalization program. We're here to affirm our commitment to safeguarding lives and the livelihood of every Lagosian. Malaria is more than a disease. It's a social economic burden that has held back individuals, it has held back families and communities for such a long time. It robs us of our productivity, it drains us of our household incomes. And for many households in Lagos, especially those modest earners, malaria, the name alone, brings shivers. It reduces their earning and reduces their ability to continue to earn more for their family. And so this financial strain often affects families and in a lot of times causes heartbreaks and the rest of it. But we're here to put a stop or to even lend a voice to the step at which we want to eliminate that completely. It has affected school children from going to school. It has affected businesses. It has seen a whole lot of absenteeism and a lot of challenges in our society for several decades. But today, we are here to change all of that narrative. The eradication of malaria is not just a good health news. It is indeed an economic imperative. It's a good news that all of us must beat our chest and be able to carry, if there's a pin, that we need to have, a pre-elimination, the campaign for it, we need to have it and we need to be able to dot it everywhere proudly.
The recent meeting with the Lagos International Financial Council by the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, was basically to seek strategies to make Lagos competitive in the financial landscape. Mr. Governor emphasized the critical need to create and generate innovative economic solutions to drive developmental initiatives.
It's a pleasure to welcome you all to this important meeting with our license exchanges on the International Financial Center project, LIFC project. Today's gathering is a testament to our collective commitment to strengthening Lagos' position as Africa's premier financial hub. As Nigeria's largest economic and financial center, Lagos plays a critical role in driving the nation's capital market. Our license exchanges are the heart of this ecosystem. They're facilitating investments flow, enhancing market liquidity, and promoting financial literacy. Just last night, the co-chair and I, were at an informal event, where we're just breaking fast with some of our Muslim friends, and the whole conversation was on what we're doing here. It was on how well can we deepen this market, how well can we grow this market, what are exchanges, what are they doing, how can we collaborate on the private sector side, on the public sector side, how do we truly really, enhance and improve the economic well-being of our country. And so we recognize that there are challenges, regulatory bottlenecks, to infrastructural gaps, to technology limitations. There are obstacles we must address together to ensure Lagos remains competitive in the global financial landscape.
The Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, in his keynote speech at the recently organized Africa's Gaming Expo 2025, submitted that the city of Lagos sure has the spectacular potentials to drive the gaming business. He actually noted that the theme of this year's expo is apt and speaks directly to dynamic economic potentials, capacity and capabilities of Lagos as a game changer in driving artificial intelligence.
This year's expo is being hosted in Lagos, a city that embodies innovation, a city that embodies entrepreneurship and economic excellence. Lagos is not just a commercial hub, but a thriving epicenter of Africa's creative economy, where we see gaming, we see fintech, we see entertainment, we see AI coverage as a means to create an unprecedented economic opportunity. And we're not just using these words loosely. These are well-crafted, thought-out economic agenda that is driven by a shared purpose and a vision at the state level, but more importantly, with the thriving businesses and economics that we continue to see develop out of the ecosystem of Lagos. It's no longer news that most of the unicorns that have come out of Africa, 4 out of the 7 have all been birthed out of Lagos. And we'll see also how even our federal government are taking the conversation around AI as a means and as a strong enabler, to fast track, development. And Lagos is leading in all of that vertical. So we're here again to continue to demonstrate and to show where we have to work and live and thrive in Lagos. This year's theme, Transforming Africa's Gaming Fintech Sector with Artificial Intelligence, it's not just timely, it is essential. The gaming industry has evolved beyond a traditional entertainment. Today, it's a key driver of creative economy. It's a strong generating employer of labor. It's fostering digital innovation and is creating new revenue streams. Similarly, the fintech has revolutionized financial transactions. It has helped to expand access to digital payment and financial inclusion across the continent. Now, artificial intelligence is the catalyst that will accelerate the growth of both industries, enhancing user experience, helping to secure ourselves better, and pushing forward operational efficiency. We, even in the public sector, are looking and are thinking and are cracking our head how AI would help us to fast-track delivery of services to our citizens in various areas of our economy.
And still from the governor's office, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, in his keynote address at the recently held parliamentary seminar, submitted that ECOWAS has indeed lived up to its expectation as a rallying point to foster growth and unity in the African continent. He however charged participants and member states to prefer deliberate strategic ways to sustain the tempo.
Today, we gather to celebrate two remarkable milestones: the 50th years of ECOWAS and the 25 years of the ECOWAS Parliament. These anniversaries are testaments to the vision, to the resilience, and to the collective will of the people of West Africa to build a united, prosperous, and peaceful region. 50 years ago, on May 28, 1975, the founding fathers of ECOWAS gathered in Lagos, here in the same city, to sign the Treaty of Lagos. Their vision was born and was transformative to create a community bound by shared value, by mutual respect, and a commitment to economic integration, a commitment to peace and security. Over the last 5 decades, ECOWAS has grown from a bold idea into a dynamic regional organization that has shaped the destiny of West Africa. From fostering economic cooperation to mediating conflicts and promoting demographic governance, ECOWAS has proven to be a beacon of hope and progress. The establishment of the ECOWAS Parliament in the year 2000 further strengthened this vision by providing a platform for dialogue, a platform for representation, and a platform for advancement of regional policies. Today, ECOWAS stands as a shining example of what is possible when nations come together to pursue a common goal.
The Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, was indeed proud and excited at the recent groundbreaking ceremony at First Bank PLC 40-story building proposed headquarters in Eko Atlantic City. The governor described the project as an audacious one that would change the landscape of the banking sector in Nigeria.
I stand here truly proud and uniquely so as your governor. I have come to Eko Atlantic several times to do groundbreaking ceremony. But this is the groundbreaking ceremony. I have seen several investments come into the Eko Atlantic City. But this is the investment that will change the future of this city. Lagos and First Bank continue to share in that long, over 13 decades of history, of culture, of belief, of sheer size and vision. A 47-story building is not just a building. It's a strength. It's a power of possibility. It's a sheer mind of you can dream, you can see, you can envision, you can innovate. It's what is all put in here. It's a building of the future. It's not a building for today. It's a realization of the dreams of dreamers, of doers, of people that believe that indeed this country can be a great nation.
The unveiling ceremony of the TA Lagbaja Cantonment in Ikeja by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu alongside top military officers was indeed not only apt, but sends a strong signal that great soldiers deserve to be honored and celebrated even after death. In his speech, Mr. Governor noted specifically the great attributes of the late T.A. Lagbaja, which makes the renaming of the Ikeja cantonment after him a historic and landmark action for a gallant soldier who has served his country meritoriously.
This is more than a change of name. It is a testament of respect, a testament of gratitude, and recognition for a man of courage, a man of service, to one of the finest profession, the military profession in our country, Lieutenant General Taurid Abiodun Lagbaja, the 23rd former Chief of Army Staff. This cantonment has long been a symbol of courage. It's been a symbol of discipline and patriotism. It has been home to thousands of brave men and women who have defended our sovereignty with their lives. It has witnessed a moment of triumph, resilience, and sacrifice. And therefore, the renaming it after Lieutenant General Lagbaja is a fitting tribute to a leader, a gentleman, and an officer whose life embodied all of these values. A distinguished infantry officer, he served the Nigerian Army with unwavering dedication for over 3 decades, playing key roles in counter-insurgent operations, internal security, and peace-loving mission. By renaming this cantonment after him, we are sending a strong message to our armed forces and to future generations that Nigeria will always honor his heroes.
And now to some series of courtesy visits to Mr. Governor. The recent courtesy visit to Governor Sanwo-Olu by the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, Dr. Aminu Maidan, and some executives was to seek the state government's support and collaboration in its drive to protect and safeguard telecom infrastructure across the country, with Lagos being a key state.
As we move forward, we recognize that Lagos needs to be a strategic partner for us. And of course, in the spirit of partnership that you have shown and solved, something that was, help us to solve something that was a stumbling block for the industry for over a decade. I think there is also opportunity for us to build on top of that and see how we can move the industry forward, move Lagos forward, and by extension, Nigeria forward. And I'm hoping that after this visit, that we'll start the process of creating a working team to help drive some of those agendas. I think in the first area, Your Excellency, is on the area of protecting our infrastructure. His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has graciously, in July last year, signed an executive order for protecting our critical national infrastructure. A key sector is, of course, our telecommunications industry. So we're now working with the Office of the National Security Advisor to operationalize that executive order. But we also recognize that it's not just something that can be driven at the federal level, and it is not even a matter of force or enforcement. It's a matter of awareness and collaboration with the subnationals. And like I mentioned earlier, Lagos State, when you look at the density of where the nation's telecommunications infrastructure is, and also where the users are, Lagos is a significant player in that respect. So we're seeking collaboration in that area.
The governor, on his part, assured the NCC boss of his support and collaboration for the NCC to achieve its set objectives.
We are one commission that we believe that there's a lot that we can do together. Even from the economy side, we know how strategic Lagos is to the telecommunication industry. We know what quantum of penetration sits or resides in Lagos. We know what the power, of digital, capability, digital infrastructure could be, and how that can be a leapfrog for us to be able to achieve, quicker and faster catch up with the industrialized nation. Whilst our fathers and our grandfathers can give reasons, while they cannot catch up, our generation don't have a reason, especially your generation, because there are no reasons at all. And we all can see that the world is becoming increasingly global with local peculiar nuisances, but indeed we can all derive a lot of huge benefits, from the globalization that we see, where digital economy, is playing a critical role. And so as a government, what we've done is, under our team's agenda, we saw technology, as one of our drivers, as a mover, as an economic driver for us to be able to activate better social economic order.
The desire and intention to consolidate and explore the significant possibilities for partnership and collaboration between the Bahamas and Lagos State formed the crux of discussion between the Deputy Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Honorable Chester Cooper, and the Lagos State Governor during the courtesy visit by the Prime Minister, considering the economic business potentials in the Bahamas and Lagos as the economic powerhouse of Nigeria makes the partnership a mutually benefiting one.
Some of the matters we want to explore includes technology, trade and commerce, investments, etc. But I am delighted to be here with my friends from Access, and this is a part of the collaboration that we have started. Before government, Your Excellency, I have been a businessman in the financial services space, and I always tell people that notwithstanding my role in government, I'm not a diplomat, but I do believe that we can strengthen relations between our countries by doing business, and I think that's the best way to do so, by finding interest in common. So I'm here to meet with some business people, to have discussions with my friends here from Access. I know that they've appointed a managing director for the Caribbean, and that certainly is exciting. It's a positive signal as to what could be, and we are very delighted to work with them. And of course, I want to introduce our country to persons who may not be familiar. Of course, we are only 400,000 people, but we are a country that boasts of what we call punching above our weight class. So we have been fortunate to be only 15 miles off the coast of Florida, which brings significant economic potential and benefit. We've benefited significantly from a tourism business, financial services. We're now looking to see how we can advance new industries, including technology, where we're making a significant push. And I recognize the great work that you're doing with your tech business here. We hope to be able to learn some things from you, Your Excellency, to be able to help to continue the development of that business.
Because of the size of the market we have here, this is a city with over 24 million people. It's the biggest, largest, in the whole of Sub-Saharan. In fact, it's the single largest city in Africa. The economic power of the city it's enormous, but it can also, with the likes of Access and other players, it can also go about and bring and develop businesses. That's why I can't but commend the reach out that you're doing. Once you're a finance person, you're a finance person. We need to be able to connect the dots very well, and technology is a strong enabler, for us to be able to do things, and do it quicker, faster, and better. So I'm also excited. I intend to see how we develop a lot more closer relationship with the Caribbean countries.
The Lagos State Governor has charged and challenged the board and members of the Junior Chamber International to champion leadership courage and show exemplary capacity to succeed as youths during a courtesy visit by the executive committee members to Mr. Governor. The national president of JCI Nigeria seized the opportunity to acquaint Mr. Governor of key programs of the group.
Today, we are here to talk about our programs that we currently have ongoing. We have a program called the 10 Outstanding Young Person, where we recognize young people across Nigeria, not just JCI members. Also, we are hosting the Southern Conference in Lagos, where we would have over 1,200 of our members coming into Lagos. We held a Southern Conference in 2023, where we had 1,000 members of JCI Nigeria coming into Lagos, and that shows that we are center of excellence and people would keep coming back, and our members are passionate, they are result driven. And one thing about JCI members is we look within our community and look for challenges. We don't wait for the government to do things for us. We ask, what can we as JCI members do and provide solutions in education, in health, across board.
For us as a government, we see, the vision and the things that you do in JCI resonates very well with part of the things that we are doing, in Lagos State. And I'm sure that's why she's with us, and we can borrow her to JCI for 1 year, but we're excited. We're also happy that she will also learn from both sides, be able to use the skills, the access and the knowledge she's learning from government to be able to also push, the narrative of JCI during her tenure, very well, and also be able to, have, an overview from both sides with a very young, dynamic, members that you have, and see how well Lagos State can continue to be an enabler in that space. Overall, I think it's a future about the youth, it's a future about the young people, it's a future about people that can innovate, that can think, that can, ask questions and want to lend a voice.
The purpose of the World Bank team who paid a courtesy visit to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu recently was to put the governor on speed the various health intervention efforts and preventive strategies to fight malaria, as well as other proactive health preventive initiatives across Africa, especially in Lagos, Nigeria.
Many of them will go to community pharmacies, to PPMVs, and to other sites to get care first, and sometimes are not getting the care that they need. And so we have together designed a program to understand exactly what's happening in these pharmacies and PPMVs, to enable supply chains, to oversee them and train them, and then ensure that there is good diagnosis and referral to the public health system. There are several different groups that are bringing together these services, including MyShemeds, NMEP, SFH, PCN, and then World Bank is enabling the financing for it. And then we are doing this in partnership and with the guidance of the Honorable Commissioner and the team at Lagos State Ministry of Health. So we appreciate your support in this and look forward to doing whatever we can to help support the elimination of malaria and the understanding of other diseases in Lagos State.
On his part, the governor affirmed the need for concerted efforts to achieve a common goal.
The fact that we're all sitting here together means that there's a common agenda, around what we want to solve. And if we all agree that malaria is something that has been long around, that we need to be able to deal with it, then we're on the journey to solving it jointly. I know in that journey there will be challenges, there will be conversations that are not very clear, but we need to have clarity to some of these things and be able to define, roles, responsibility, and put timelines to some of these things so that indeed the real impact and the output based on the input we are given, we actually can measure and see where we are.
And finally, from the governor's office, in the spirit of the Holy Ramadan, which preaches peace and togetherness, the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, attended the opening prayer session, which commenced the Muslim fasting exercise in Lagos earlier in the month. In his brief remark, the governor enunciated the spiritual essence of the Ramadan fasting period.
This is customary for us in Lagos and in Lagos State
And we take this very, very seriously because indeed it helps us to get into that state of grace whilst we want to commence the holy month of Ramadan. And so I believe that the lectures and the words that are going to be spoken this evening will be words that will encourage us, will be words that will admonish us, will be words that will prepare our hearts and our minds and our brain, everything, to be able to receive during this period of Ramadan. And I'm sure you know that it's an holy month in which there's a lot of things that comes with it. There's a lot of sacrifice, there's a lot of denial that we need to do, there's a lot of self-denial that we need so that we can indeed be a state of grace and we can let all our prayers be acceptable. It's a month in which we know that all of our needs, all of our cries, is always a time in which we need to reference, with our Almighty. And it shall be well with all of us.
And that's the picture from the Governor's Office platform on the City of Lagos TV show on TV Nigeria. Up next on the show is the Commissioner's platform. And of course, today we have a special guest who happens to be the Honorable Commissioner for Fiscal Planning and Urban Development in Lagos State. It was quite expository and revealing. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're still watching the City of Lagos TV show, and welcome to the Commissioner's platform, where we speak with various honorable commissioners in the ministries in Lagos State. And of course, the most important objective here is to also verify, ascertain, and confirm to what extent are the various ministries under the able leadership of the honorable commissioners are working in tandem with the Themes Plus agenda of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. And of course, today we're going to be speaking with the honorable commissioner of a very strategic ministry. Considering the cosmopolitan nature of Lagos, fiscal planning and urban development is a major pillar in the Themes Plus agenda of Mr. Governor. And of course, Lagos wouldn't have achieved its status, recognized as the city of excellence, if not for very strategic, proactive and dynamic efforts to improve the physical development of Lagos State. And of course, today we're going to be speaking with the Honorable Commissioner for Fiscal Planning and Urban Development, Dr. Olumide Abiodun Oluyinka. Honorable Commissioner, sir, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you on the program.
It's a pleasure.
Let's start on a more lighter note. This is a very critical ministry, and Lagosians will want to know who is actually the man behind this ministry. So can you give us a very brief, precise profile, a professional profile of yourself?
Like you rightly said, my name is Olumide Abiodun Oluyinka of the Bajula area family of Lagos. And I started my schooling from Holy Cross Primary School in Lagos to Methodist High School in Ibadan, then Yaba College of Technology, where I graduated as the very first best student in architecture. Then I proceeded to University of Ife, where I studied building engineering, masters at University of Lagos, construction technology, then construction management. Then I'm also a graduate of Lagos Business School, and I top it up with a PhD with Atlantic International University in USA in engineering construction project management.
Now, what is the mandate, the vision and mission statement of the ministry? And of course, to what extent does it work in tandem with the Themes Plus agenda of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu?
The ministry is saddled with the responsibility of ensuring a well-coordinated design of the physical structure of the state, as well as the management part of it. And by extension, the Team Plus agenda of the current administration in Lagos State, we come in under the M there now, which is very important. If everybody is coming into Lagos by way of wanting to do any investment, the first thing they probably need is the accommodation. So we ensure that the land in the states are well designed in terms of usage. Area to be marked for residential, for commercial, for industrial, as mixed. So we do all that, then follow it up by ensuring that people designs in line with those plans. And again, it's concluded also by ensuring that, which is the control part of it, that people eventually develop in line with what was approved.
Lagos is a larger percentage water, and of course, it is quite important to have a strategic master plan to continue to sustain the growth of Lagos. So, what's the ministry's strategic master plan, and to what extent have you been able to actualize your set objectives?
Thank you very much. Before you can go into any endeavor in terms of physical development, there has to be a plan. Okay. And thank God that in Lagos, this activity is taken very, very seriously. I can say with all confidence that we are the best in the country in terms of defining our space by way of master plans. Of recent, we've done the Ikorodu Regional Master Plan, the Badagry Plan is also done, Alimosho, and even presently, Ibejuleki is under display. What that means is that towards the concluding part of the production of various plans, we have what we call the stakeholders' enlightenment and their reaction, whereby all the efforts put in by the consultants as well as the ministry, in addition to the various MDAs, they are all thrown open into the public for them to see and respond before it eventually comes out. So we've been doing very well in Lagos in terms of the production of all these plans. Again, what one may probably want to take up is that one thing is to have the plan. Another thing is to see that are those plans implemented. And that has been a challenge which we've set out to correct.
When it has to do with trying to meet up with your strategic master plan, there's also the issue of compliance. Are Lagosians actually complying to the fiscal planning laws?
If I'm to rate it in terms of, on a scale of 1 to 10, in terms of compliance, I would probably say something close to 7. It's in that range because I must admit that the level of awareness and education is slightly low. Our interaction so far with the populace is such that they are willing to do the right thing. So I will not want to sit down here and say that our people are bad in terms of compliance. No, we have a job to do in terms of educating them and enlightening them on the importance of why those plans are produced and why we need to comply with them. Yes.
Now, still talking about compliance, which of the agencies under the ministry that has been assigned that strategic role to ensure the level of compliance we're talking about?
It is not only the agencies under the ministry that are supposed to comply with the plans produced. For example, if we have a plan that has designated areas as, say for example, in terms of solving the waste problem of Lagos State, and you have a site mapped as waste collection and treatment site, that goes to Ministry of Environment and Water Resources. Now, when you talk of identification of physical road infrastructures, that goes to Works and Infrastructure. Now, when you also identify in terms of transportation problems, that goes to Ministry of Transportation. Those are directly. Now, for us here, the production of those plans, which is done by the Regional Master Plan Department. Of recent, we've just even created a new department from that department that will be saddled with the responsibility of ensuring the compliance, monitoring and compliance of those plans, which is by way of getting the various MDAs set up in terms of evaluating and executing those ones that are related to them. Now, the ones that are commonly to us, you have the development matters, which is concerned with large expanse of land in terms of layout approval, and the very common one which people relate with almost on a daily basis, that's last part, in terms of getting the planning permit prior to their development, and also the control arm of which is LAPSCA, ensuring that what is approved for them is what they built on site. We also have the urban development that is mostly in charge of markets. They also enforce, because you may have a market being undertaken by local government. So this has to be developed in line with the plan and the structural plan for the states. Also, another agency that is springing up very fast under the ministry is LASPEMA, Lagos State Planning Environmental Monitoring Agency. Of course, we are going to change the name to LASISMA, which is Lagos State Informal Space Management Authority. You agree with me that when you have a new scheme being produced, you have what we call bounded land. Those are the lands that have beacons that you can identify. You also have some other lands that are not bounded. These are land that belongs to the government. Or, for example, there is an alignment for a road, and it's supposed to be 4-lane roads, 4 on both sides. For one reason or the other, maybe the government is not ready to do the 4. Maybe they are doing 2 now. But you must prepare those land for future. So this agency is responsible for the management of all those informal and incidental open spaces, pending the time that the government will be willing to use those land. If you drive around Alakpere on the express road in Atol Milan, you will see people planting vegetable. Those are what we call urban agriculture. It's vegetable they are planting. They help us to keep that plain clean, and at the same time, it's a useful venture because the vegetables they produce are being consumed by the people. So it contributes to the agricultural inputs of the state as well as the manpower in terms of employment. If you go to London or US, New York or wherever, they are special because of the use they put those incidental open spaces into. So, and that is what we want to replicate here, that all our informal open spaces should be put to, for example, you will have areas where you can have organizers. In fact, we already have now a collection of all the organizers in Lagos, and we are going to run it with an app that you are driving, you have a flat tire. On the app, you can call, and the nearest organizer to we attend to you. The same thing with newspaper vendors. These are activities that definitely must be on the road, but they have to be well defined and designed so that they don't constitute nuisance into the environment.
Last year, to be precise, the ministry held a Fiscal Planning and Urban Development Summit in Lagos. What are the major takeaways for the ministry from that summit, especially on the issue of the mega city agenda for Lagos?
Early last year, we visited the United Kingdom, where we had a robust collaboration with the London Bureau in terms of how they go about their own planning, from conception to implementation. We try to compare what is happening there with what we have in Lagos. And very surprisingly, there seems to be virtually no difference in terms of the physical law. Now, the challenge then was that the level of compliance and of those plans are extremely very low. So that was what led to us saying that, guys, we need to come back and see what can be done in terms of good. We produce plans, but these plans are not for joke. They are not for fun. They are supposed to impact directly on our lives. And for them to impact directly on life, it means there must have been some level of execution of those plans. Now, when we check here and we see that it's very, very low. Of course, the facts are not far-fetched because execution of plans are to be balanced with the funding from the state.
Okay.
And what we see in the Western world is that the plans now, in terms of execution, if I'm to rate it, I would probably say over 70 being executed by the private sectors, as against what we have here, where everything is entirely government. For us in Lagos State, like I used to say, we are condemned to work. We are condemned to do the right thing. And the ugly part of it is that as we keep improving, planning, and executing, more and more people from Nigeria keeps coming in. Because for you to move in from Ibadan to Lagos, from Bauchi to Lagos, Kano to Lagos, you don't need any visa. Once somebody calls you, hey, my brother, Lagos is sweet, oh, the person picks a bag and he comes in there. That has an implication for us because it keeps putting pressure on the infrastructure that is planned. So which means we must continuously be planning and planning. And the essence of that summit that you brought out is for us to look at, first, let the people understand the processes of the plan. The plan are not just documents made by government. They are documents from the people, and they are supposed to serve the people. And we've been getting response because right now, all the plans that we've done so far, we've thrown it open to the public. They can see reason why we say we want to do this. If you are telling them that in this area, you cannot build more than 6 floors, we will jointly sit down and they will understand why we are doing this. And even to us, those plans help us to know that, okay, as per the last plan, in this particular area, you have 50 transformers. The population then was 200,000. Now it has moved to 600,000. Obviously, I mean, without being a magician, we know that those transformers will not be able to cope. So, telling us indirectly that those that are responsible for energy should also sit up in terms of meeting up their plan of increasing the capacity. So that's the essence of the summit. And the way it's structured, it was done last year. The next one will come up next year. But however, this year we are going to sit down again because we already mapped out the implementation into plans. So we need to sit down again and say, okay, we plan to do this. To what extent have we gone? A way of reassessing ourselves.
Now, data, how reliable when it has to do with the database of the Ministry for Fiscal Planning for urban regeneration, building, construction, and control in Lagos State?
Thank you very much. About a few weeks ago, we started the revision of our ODPs, Operating Development Plans, and you cannot do that without having a very reasonable data. On a continuous basis, the level of compliance, the level of reaction from the populace. What is the total number of approvals that were granted? Physical site data are gathered, and that will enable us, which is exactly what we did. A revision is coming out in some few days now for Ikoyi and Victoria Island, where we are changing the approval order of some area in terms of the number of heights that can go. Because of recent, there are pictures of being circulated around in terms of the thinness of structures. And what has been the problem? You find the father bequeathing a property to the children. Maybe in the local palace, they say 3 legs, that is 3 families. Maybe the man has 3 wives. Now, the property is sitting on, let's say, 600 square meters. So, and for the fact that they couldn't agree, okay, no, let's cut my own. You now have a situation whereby the property sitting on 600 square meters is now shared into 3, roughly 200. And each now wanting to develop within that 200. That really, in terms of all the reasonable basic law of planning, it does not make sense. And what we're trying to do now is to come up with a total revision of, look, instead of you wanting to develop on a land of 200 square meters, a 3-story building, which really does not make sense. Because by law of pressure, it's like if a lady with their heel steps on your leg, the heel is very, very small. You feel the pressure more than if a man stepping on you. What that simply means in engineering is that the smaller the area, the more the pressure you exert into the floor, which means that in terms of stability, those buildings might not be too stable unless properly designed. And that may account for why you have, in all those areas, where you have building collapse. So what we're trying to do now is to encourage them that, okay, rather than you going on a very thin area, 2, 3, 4 families can come together and go vertically. And it could be shared now horizontally. A family can take 3 floors. If, for example, 3 families coming up and they develop 18 floors, each one of them can take 6 floors, which makes sense rather than squeezing themselves. And in terms of value, they will get more value for their investment. So these are things that we do, follow from that summit and the revision for the plans.
So, Honorable Commissioner, let's look at your achievements. I know since you came on board, very significant achievements, giant strides of the ministry since coming on board.
I came in there and I discovered that you really cannot influence any change, because whatever you want to do, it is human being that will execute them. And if you look at the factors for production, you have the 5M, the so-called 5Ms: money, machine, manpower, management. The only one that is trickish and difficult is man. Because, for example, if you have a farm and you think that your staff are not producing well, you now say, okay, I'll give them more money to produce well. It can turn the other way. So, having observed that, what I did was to focus on changing of the mindset in terms of value, what they should be looking at. The other focused attention was the summit that we did in terms of plant product. People are becoming aware now that, look, when the state government is saying that we should do this, it's not just enforcing laws on. It is something that actually we desire as people, letting them also know that they also have a part to play. All the plans we'll be rolling out now, they are documents. They are not government documents. They are people's documents. When we went to Badagry, we sat down with them. This is their means of life: waterborne, a fish and the likes. The best way to do it, we need to let them know. Badagry, everywhere in the world, if you go to Miami in US, areas that are waterborne are revenue spinning. They are tourist attraction areas. So, and for you to do that kind of thing, the people themselves within that area, they must prepare themselves. We must elevate them to the status of understanding what we want to do. We went around on inspection around Ikoyi, and we noticed abnormal settlements where you have maybe there are security to those houses coming with a small kiosk turning into a makeshift nylon and for people to see. You really cannot have that kind of thing in Ikoyi for God's sake. Right now, I may bold to say that application for planning permit, well, that is the one that is very common to ordinary people. The request for permit in terms of timing now is very, very short. You can see the process, the charges, how they are worked out. You can see them clearly. And within 10 days, if there are no obstacles from your side, you get your approval. We are even working with land bureaus now to ensure that all the bottlenecks around land title are resolved, because for you to get approval for permits, the very first thing is the evidence that you are the owner of the land, which is a major challenge. Somebody will just approach your money, you buy the land, and the money will just go to CMS, buy one slip of right receipt. I sold so, and sign. I mean, that cannot be evidence that you are the owner of it. There must be a root of title. On whose capacity is that receipt being issued? There must be a family, whether they have accession to that land. So they have to lay roots to that okay, I, as Alhaji Wale Fatai of so and so family, under the authority of the head of the family, we've sold this and this to. And last year also was getting the government to actually agree to amnesty. Because what I did when I got in there was to do an assessment of, I think we covered up to about 28 states in the country. That's the level of compliance to planning permit. And I discovered that Lagos one is very, very low. That is, the percentage of buildings that have approval in Lagos is very, very low. So we now went again to find out what are the reasons. Surprisingly, we discovered that a lot of people are willing to get this approval, but there are bottlenecks which we are already resolving. So that made us to approach the governor, who graciously granted us this amnesty period. Normally, if you've done your building without approval, you are supposed to be penalized very heavily, 4 times what you are supposed to pay. But we pleaded with the governor, who graciously agreed to waive this penalty. And there was a window from 1st of May 2024 to 31st of December. That's 7 months for people who have built their building 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, to bring them forth for approval. And the response was quite encouraging and huge.
Doctor, can you tell us the level of collaboration and synergy between your ministry and other ministries, most critically the EGIS? How has that synergy been, and what have you been able to achieve?
I would say I have a brother heading that arm of the ministry. That is the special advisor to the governor on EGIS and urban development, Dr. Olajide Abiodun Babatunde. He's a brother. He goes beyond just a colleague. In actual fact, the next phase of the activity of the ministry that we are working very aggressively on is the e-planning process, which is that you don't necessarily have to come and be carrying files everywhere. That from the comfort of your home or your offices, you can apply for your approval. And this is being worked on by the SA on EGIS and the urban development. That's the e-planning. There has been a very serious and smooth collaboration between the ministry and the SA EGIS. Again, we provide activity for the whole states. For example, infrastructure, who are responsible for the road. Of course, they will need the EGI because they will give us the status of the physical structure before the plans are done. And don't forget that the very, very important department in this ministry, which is RMD, really cannot function without a lot of input from EGIS, because they will provide us the topographical view of the area before plans are done in terms of land use, this for that. So we leverage very heavily on EGIS to give us all those details. Even of recent, we just solved the challenge with agric, because so many of land that are agric land have been encroached upon. Especially, there was a time I visited Ibejuleki, and we discovered that so much of the land there that are for agric are now taken over by people for estate development.
So, Honorable Commissioner, let's look at the issue of housing, which is a major challenge, looking at the ever-growing population in Lagos. How would you want to describe your efforts in this area, the dynamics of the housing challenge in the real estate sector, and looking at your achievements in this area?
From the plans that we are doing now, there are emphasis now on estate lands. In terms of ease of development, it comes out very easy for us rather than individual development. And if you look at virtually all the developed world now, there is a big shift from, which is still a major problem here. You find everybody wanting to build. No, it's not ideal like that. What we have in developed world is that you have developers coming in to develop those houses, which means that there should be more of estates development rather than individual development. And again, we cannot be talking of cost of building reducing if everybody wants to build their own individual houses, because there is advantage in what we call system building. System buildings help us to come up with mass building. If you go to Cairo and you can see massive mass building. If you want to buy or you rent, you live within the. When the time comes that you feel that maybe at retirement you need a country home, then you go to the countryside. But for the center CBD area, it is only for active people. You come home, you sleep, you wake up. So if you are really serious about solving housing problem in this country, people must understand, one, house ownership cannot and must not be for everybody. However, land also have a very serious impact to play. You cannot buy a land at 50 million and you say you want to put a building of 10 million on it. You understand? That is where the mass housing comes in. And people should be ready and must be ready to have a paradigm shift from wanting to own their own houses. You go to Banana Island on Ikoyi, you are buying a plot for 1 billion. Now, are you putting one dwelling family, 100 million house on a... It must be for certain class of people. We cannot be talking of people who need houses and you are talking of a land of 1 billion naira.
Dr. Olumide Abiodun Oluyinka has been our special guest on the Commissioner's platform, the Honorable Commissioner for Fiscal Planning and Urban Development. to a large extent, it's been quite informative and educative about the very significant efforts and initiatives and achievements of the ministry. Honorable Commissioner, let's look at human capacity building. For a ministry like this, you need very qualified, experienced workforce to meet up with best international practice. So what's the agenda in this area?
We are top loaded.
Okay.
Apart from the fact that the so-called Japa syndrome, a lot of staff, by way of seeking for greener pastures, have gone abroad. So we had serious acute shortage of staff at the middle and low level. So that led to my approaching the governor, explaining the situation to him, and he approved 100. So right now, they are all undergoing training, orientation. Continuous training for anybody here at the ministry, it's extremely important that they must be exposed. All the various departments, we must expose them both locally and internationally. I cannot imagine somebody will say, I'm a director in this ministry, and you cannot relate planning as is being executed here, not only with other clients in Nigeria, but outside Nigeria, in Kenya, in Ghana, I don't want to go to very advanced world, Brazil. So that's all part of life.
What are the future projected plans to improve fiscal planning, urban regeneration of Lagos State to achieve a safe, secure, and progressive megacity?
We already have a plan for Lagos Island, for example, how it should look in the next 50 years' time. There is a plan that is ongoing now for the total regeneration of the whole of Adeniji Adele. You also notice that all the police barracks are all gone now in preparation for regeneration. So, the plans are there. But the most important, like I said, is that the buy-in and understanding of the people. If they bought into those plans and they agreed with it, life will be easy for everybody. And in no time, we'll get to well.
How will you describe Governor Sanwo-Olu's support and positive impact on your ministry?
I must confess that he's been very, very supportive to the ministry. The governor has been very supportive. You can see what happened during the summit. He's been very, very supportive with us.
So on a final note, Doctor, what's your word of assurance, encouragement to Lagosians and all key stakeholders in the fiscal planning and urban development space in Lagos?
We are actually partners, because what we as a Ministry of Fiscal Planning and Urban Development, what we do is to plan how the city should be. So it will be a great error and mistake if we neglect or don't get the buy-in of the developers. Once you alter the natural state of a land, that is development. And what that means is that you cannot and you must not lie with it, because whatever they want to do, let them come and open it up at a very early stage. They should take us as their partner. We are not here to make life difficult for everybody. We are partners in seeing Lagos development. Fellow Lagosians, mine is very simple because we are all together. I cannot do anything without the people. We are here working as a back end to the people. So my appeal is that this is a tax for every one of us. What we do here impacts directly on your life, and you should see us as partners in progress. From the moment I got in here, I run an open door. You don't need to know, you don't need any appointment. If you want to come and see the Commissioner for Fiscal and Urban Development, you are free to come. You will be listened to and your problem will be evaluated and resolved. But appeal again is that we should jointly see Lagos as one. And like we used to say, Ìgbéga ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó, àjùmọ̀ṣe gbogbo wa ni o.
It's been a pleasure, sir, speaking with you, Dr. Olumide Abiodun Oluyinka, the Honorable Commissioner for Fiscal Planning and Urban Development. Thank you, sir, for coming.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure. And we want to say kudos to your efforts and wish you all the best. The program will continue in a moment. Stay tuned. The love for Lagos is love for progress and justice. Believe in Lagos. See you next week.